Good evening.
Happy days, yes. We're back, yes.
Hello.
Happy days. Hearing me okay, I presume?
Yeah, I tell you what, Dave, that music takes me back to the world in about 1997.
Mate, the world. God, remember that? That's a blast
Yeah.
from the past for people from Warrington, isn't it?
Right.
Blast
Drum
from
and bass
the
night.
past. Wow, happy days. Well, welcome to the second preview show, couple of weeks away from the finest game in the world coming back. Oh, it's getting exciting now. As always, we're gonna go through a few of the teams. Last week, of course, we discussed Catalan's chances. I put them finishing second this season with a Challenge Cup win. Greg put them third. Huddersfield Giants we reviewed. I said that the Giants this year would finish 8th, quite controversial for some, I think. Greg 10th, and then we looked at Hull FC, to which I think Hull will finish 9th, and Greg said 8th. So that's basically where we were last week. This little beauty came through my letterbox today. The Rugby League world is back. They too are putting a couple of predictions in. They've gone with me, with Catalan. They've gone with Greg, with Hull FC, and with Huddersfield. They've gone right in the middle. I've said 8th. Greg said 10th. They've gone 9th. So we'll keep an eye on what they've got to say as well as we go through it tonight. But first of all, as we always do, I think what we'll do is we'll take a quick look at what's been in the headlines, Greg. So here we go. Let's have a look at this week's and see what we've got. So first and foremost, then let's take a look. Here we go. This week's making it in the news. Scrums do return. It's been announced a little bit earlier that scrums are going to return. Good news. For the purist.
I think the game needs the return of scrums.
Yeah,
I can understand why over the last few years they have been kept out of the game, but the game needs scrums to come back. As far as I'm concerned, it just gives a bit of freedom for the backs to show what they can do.
Completely agree with that. Summer Bash moves to Leeds. It comes away from Blackpool. It's going to Henley, and we'll talk about these in each in a minute. Toulouse, obviously, in vaccination turmoil. We'll keep an eye on that. They seem to be having a few problems. Catalan announced that they're 100% vaccinated now, but Toulouse seems to be having a few challenges. But we'll give them a couple of weeks. We'll probably come back to that near the season. All Stars return, of course, to play England, and Channel 4 began their marketing push, mate, which was pretty much good to see. And I that's what we'll do actually. There, let's take a look at that one actually. So this was Channel 4's new promotional video. If you've not seen it, this is how Channel 4 have started their move. Here we go. Let's take a look at this, and we'll discuss what we've done. I quite like that, Greg.
I do. That's really good.
Hang on, I'll just stop the replay. Yeah, I quite like that.
As somebody put on Facebook, Channel 4 1, Sky 0.
Yeah,
sums it up. And it's that's what Sky used to do. Remember Bradley Wiggins cycling over the Pennines to get home in time for the game?
Well, we had a view on that as well at the time.
Yeah,
I think,
but
good effort. Good to see. Vibrant. I just like the players, the little bit of this and all that. I thought that was
the close-ups, the camera angles. No word on who's going to present it and who the commentators are going to be, which might be done purposely, might be a big surprise.
Maybe.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to it. And fair play, I know I sing Warrington's praises a lot, but £1 for a seat on the coach to the game.
Yeah, nice.
I was in the shop on Saturday, and I heard somebody wanted to book a place on the coach, and they were up to coach 10 or 11, I think.
No, it's good effort.
So that's going to look good on TV.
On TV, yeah. Well, to be fair, you want a full heading lift for that one, don't you? But All Stars returning. Obviously, going to be raising some money for Tonga. A lot of people expecting that Kristen Wolf might be asked to to be the All-Star coach, based on the fact that he's obviously the Tongan international coach. Obviously, last time out, All-Stars beat England. I called it as well, if you remember. I said that. I thought it was a tight game, but I did call it.
I remember it being a really good game as well.
Yeah, and we'll probably revisit that nearer June time, but we'll probably pick the teams. But I mean, God, there's going to be some Caesar, Blake Austin in there. There's going to, probably at the halves. There's going to be some real talent in that squad. So that'll be interesting to see. And then finally, just the other one that I mentioned, Summer Bash. I'm quite pleased it's going to Headingley, because it gives people in the heartlands the opportunity, maybe, because it's not going to be competing with Super League, to actually go and watch 2 days of Rugby League.
Yeah. I mean, it used to be held in Blackpool.
Yeah.
I know fans of a lot of championship teams who enjoyed the weekend in Blackpool. There were some dissenting voices about it going to Headingley, but it's a Rugby League ground. Let's get the money back into Rugby League.
Yeah.
These 2 days, there's some good teams in the championship. Yeah. Featherstone look like they're making the big push again for promotion this year, so made some good signings this week. So yeah, it could be a good 2 days of Rugby League.
Let's hope so. A couple of shout-outs. Lou Smith, Mick Callier, Mike Scott, Ian Johnson, Paul Carty, to name but a few. Good evening to you all. Good evening to you all. Great to have you along. By all means, put some comments in the chat. Be good to hear your views as we move on in a minute to take a look at 3 more Super League teams as we head into the new season. Pat, anything else caught your eye quickly in the news, Greg?
The Castleford player Claire got a 3-game ban for punching in a friendly.
Yeah.
Come on.
I didn't like that, to be honest.
If players are going to get banned for playing in friendlies, there's going to come a point where coaches are going to say, that's it, no friendlies.
Yeah.
Remember Sir Alex Ferguson a few years ago when Paul Scholes was sent off Amsterdam tournament and got a ban. And Ferguson said, that's it, we're not taking part in it anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
Players are going to miss 3 games at the start of the season. I think a Leeds player got two games, but they were covered by friendlies.
Yeah.
You're going to start banning for a punch. Come on, it's Rugby League.
It's not tiddlywinks.
It's Rugby League. Banning play. I know people say, well, if you did that in the street, you'd get a charge with assault.
Yeah.
But come on. I put this. Yeah. I do put this down to, in a way, the TV, because every time there's ever a brawl, you'd hear Eddie saying, "Oh, we don't want to see this," and the majority of Rugby League fans would be screaming back saying, "Yes, Eddie, this is exactly what we want to see. This is Rugby League. This is Rugby League."
Well, it was. Well, I mean, it was the fabric. It was the fabric. I mean, some people might disagree with that, but it was the fabric of the game for a long time, and a little bit of passion spilling over in a game like this. It's not a bad thing,
mate. Being banned for 3 games for throwing a punch, you get less for a high tackle in the actual season itself. Let's get a bit of perspective. Let's have a bit of common sense. Let's stop trying to shoot the game in the foot, please.
Absolutely.
Completely agree. We're going forward with Channel 4. We got terrestrial TV coverage.
Yeah.
Let's not stop doing stupid, silly things like that. Because it's player welfare at the end of the day. If you hit a season cold because you've not had any friendlies, because your players
are more injuries. More injuries, more risk, especially timing. We spoke a lot about that last year. They're running at each other now with so much more pace. We talk about sometimes high tackles. It's fractions really when you consider it. You need the friendlies to tighten that up. Yeah, I agree.
And I can see a time when coaches will say, "I've got a risk of, our marquee signing getting banned for 3 games and missing the first 3 games of the season. We're not doing it." And then your players are going in cold. And they're getting injured. They miss timing tackles.
Yeah,
all this about player welfare, and then they do something like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Nonsensical as far as I'm concerned. Nonsensical.
No, I'm with you on that. I
hope there's some Castleford fans listening in on this. And I'd like to hear their views on it as well, because I'm sure.
Well, I don't know who Gary Betteridge supports, but Gary's just joined us. Maybe he's
Gary?
Yes, and our good old. Our good old friend Steve Cartledge has just joined the fun. Welcome, Steve. So then, here we go. Castleford Tigers. Let's first of all, like we did last week, what do we make of these strips then, Greg? What's your thoughts on those beauties?
They're all right, actually. they're all right. It's a typical Castleford home strip.
Yeah.
And teams seem to now be going as far away from their traditional colours with their away strips as they possibly can. And I can understand that. It's all about marketing. It's all about fashion. It's all about getting money into the club. I can understand that they want to attract a wider audience with turn them into the away shirts are becoming more I mean, I bought the Warrington away shirt this year because I prefer it to the home kit. I can understand why they've done that. They're all right. Home shirt, nothing surprising. Away shirt, as I say, quite nice.
Yeah, I must admit, I do like the. It's like Holland did it in the World Cup. There's something about Castleford in a striking orange shirt. It's it's one of them, and it's a proper colour in it, and gives them that identity. Right then, so let's take a look at what's been going on in Castleford during the course of the closed season. So, of course, as we know, Coach Lee Radford is taking over. Hello there to Dylan Harpin. Welcome, Dylan. Lee Radford takes over, of course, from Darryl Powell. Last year finished outside the top six. Of course, Challenge Cup runners up as well. Taking a quick look across the two squads straight away, the centres. Last year, Peter Metaltia and Michael Shenton. Metaltia off to Warrington, Shenton retiring. They have been replaced by Jordan Turner and Jake Mamo. Then on the wing, Fecky, of course, was number 5 last year. He's now replaced by Ferramo, who's come, of course, from Hull. No change at the halfbacks. In the forwards, of course, the retiring Grant Millington. We gave Grant Millington a good rap in terms of the shift he put in over the years for Castleford at the end of last season. He's replaced by a player who played very well for Hull KR last year. George Lawler comes in at 10. Then, of course, again at the second row, Ollie Holmes, as we know, moved over to Warrington. She's Blair there. They've been taken Kenny Edwards from Huddersfield. Adam Milner taken up, of course, from loose forward. And, of course, Joe Westerman returns to Castleford. And then, of course, the squad goes on. George Griffin, don't know what I've done with his spelling of his name there. Callum McClelland from Leeds has come in. Fernauer, of course, from Hull have come in. O'Neill, Heppy, Clare. When you actually look down that right-hand side list, these are names that everybody who's watched Rugby League, certainly last season, will recognise, and all the way down to number 33, Jason Gary, of course, won Try of the Year on Sky last year on his debut, if you remember.
Exactly.
So a really, I think this is a really good squad, if I'm being honest. What's your view?
I think it's much of a muchness to this to last year. I think Metaltia and Shenton going, and Turner and Mamo. We all know Mamo at Warrington.
Yeah.
On his day, he can score a try from anywhere. I think if we're being honest, we can't be now. He's gone. Sometimes his defence was a little bit lacking, but not as bad as some people said. Oliver Holmes. I think they're going to miss Oliver Holmes. I think they're going to miss Grant Millington. But then you've got Adam Milner, and Joe Westerman. I've got a lot of time for Joe Westerman. Anybody that can knock a dislocated knee back in place and carry on playing, has got my respect. As far as I'm concerned. I think that squad is much the same as last year. Added depth to it. Gaz O'Brien's gone out to number 31, so
31, yeah. And I think if you look at it, mate, I think it's a balanced squad. If they was to pick up, I mean, the start. I think I agree with you to a point. The starting 13. To that, but I think in terms of, bringing the young kids in from Leeds, McClelland and Alex Sutcliffe. They'll hope that Greg Eden stays clear of injury this year. And he's in and around selection. Of course, Gareth O'Brien. My only concern with this team, if I'm a Castleford fan, is again, Jake Truman was in and out a bit last year. Is that halfback combination good enough? Is that halfback combination reliable enough? That for me would be a little bit of a
agree, and they've got to hope that the pack maintains. Castleford have always had a good pack.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying they've been weakened, but the changes might affect them maybe early doors when they're still getting structures together. I think it's, as I say, I'm not saying it's not a balanced squad. I'm thinking they're not any worse than they were last year, but I don't know whether they're any better than last year.
I think if they can keep the spine, I think we both like Evans, quality player.
Yeah.
Quality player. I think Truman on his day, quality player. Danny Richardson, Gareth O'Brien, not much between them. If I'm
Danny
being honest.
Richardson has a habit sometimes of disappearing in games, and I'm sure Castle fans I'll be shouting me down now, but he sometimes has a habit of going missing.
Yeah. And then of course McShane, quality. Quality.
Yeah.
And I agree.
He's a captain now, isn't he? McShane is the captaincy. So.
And then, of course, Westerman. And I think the thing, you mentioned Mamo. I think the exciting thing for Cass is that if Evans is on form, I think Alford's had a good season last year. He scored plenty of tries. If Mamo can replicate his form from last season this season, if Truman shows up, McShane, I think, is a guarantee. It'll be same as.
Yeah.
If Joe Westerman can play as well as he did last year for Wakefield, all of a sudden, that's going to be a tough team to play against for any team.
Yes, but Castleford, and I'm not being awkward for awkward's sake here, Dave. Castleford have always been a tough team to play against.
Yeah.
And I think the Daryl Powell factor may have something to do with it.
Well, I mean, that's going to be the interesting thing for Cass, for Warrington, and all the rest.
Sometimes it depends on the day which Castleford turns up, and I'm sure Castle fans they're either going to be agreeing with me, nodding their head and agreeing, or they're going to be screaming at me. But I think sometimes if Castleford in the right frame of mind turns up, they're a hard team to beat.
How are they going to play?
Fall apart.
That's the other thing here. How are they going to play? Because, classy Cass, under Powell, they've always played an expansive game. We know, Lee Radford's come in, probably more, probably a bit more, less likely to.
Conservative.
Yeah, that's probably the word. Yeah.
I don't want to accuse him of being
great word.
Right. Yeah, it was. That's word of the day, I think.
Yes. Conservative is in the press far too much at the moment. But yeah, steady. But yeah, absolutely.
I'll get into that.
Let's not get into that.
This is a business meeting, by the way.
It is a business meeting. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, absolutely a business meeting. But yeah, no, I think for me, Cass, it's going to be interesting to see how they play. I think they've got some great individual players in there. I think it's the same for Warrington. It's going to be the same for Cass. These teams, that have got new coaches this season, how quickly can they adapt to the new style of play the coach wants to play and gel into that system? That's going to be big.
Think as well, and I think Radford has got a point to prove because he was treated disgracefully by Hull at the end.
100%. Couldn't agree with you more.
Absolutely
disgraceful.
Shocking the way he was treated.
Completely agree.
I'd like to see him do well because nobody deserves that. I don't care. I don't care who they are, whether the Wigan Saints, whoever they are, Castleford, Hull. No coach deserves to be treated like that by their own chair. So I hope he does prove a few people wrong. Hopefully not Halliwell Jones, but he's got a point to prove.
Absolutely.
I personally see Castleford being much the same as they were last season.
Right. Well, okay. Well, last season they finished 7th. Where are you putting them this year?
7th.
So you're holding the position.
Yeah.
Okay. This is going to surprise a few. I'm going to put them 6th. I'm going to put them 6th. Obviously taking the place of Hull KR from last year. So let's just crack on with Hull KR and I can explain myself maybe. Maybe that's a good idea as all of a sudden the Robins fans depart our show.
There was a stunned silence there, Dave.
Yes, absolutely. Well, there certainly was in Humberside, mate, without question. Right, okay, so...
we'll be welcome on Humberside.
Well, let's take a look at the new logo now, of course, in play. And there you go, the new Hull KR strips for 2022. Thoughts on those, Greg?
Well, Tony Smith, ex-Wire, has obviously still got Wire at heart with that away kit.
Oh, that's good. Some people are throwing stuff now. That's going to hurt.
Once a Wire, always a Wire, as the saying goes.
Well, It's an odd one in a way, isn't it? Yeah, it's an odd one though. It's an odd. The away is an odd one.
Yeah, I quite like it. I quite like the colours for some reason.
Well, what I like about that, which I think, just very briefly, Warrington could take a leap out the Hull KR, but is the fact that the main sponsor has not been precious over the colour scheme, that's it'd be nice to. It's nice to see Hoover do the same at Warrington. But I think that's like I say, they blended it in nice. But I'll be honest with you, mate. I'm not getting excited about them kits. I have to say
they're not. They're inoffensive enough. The home kit is a Hull KR home kit. The away kit, as I say, for some reason I like the colours. I don't know why that is. I don't think they're going to be able to wear that at the Halliwell Jones though. They're away kit, are they?
No, they'll be wearing the home. Hello to Des Horton. Hello to Stephen Clemens. Welcome along for the chat. Right, let's take a look and see what's been going on at Hull KR. Here we go. So, obviously, at one, the big one, the massive signing for Hull KR, Lachlan Coote, coming, of course, from St Helens, replacing Adam Quinlan. Then it's pretty much, Greg Minnikin, of course, gone over to Warrington. But actually, when you look at who played last season, there's no real change in the three quarters there. Then, of course, Jordan Abdul is at 7. We're expecting Mickey Lewis to partner. It'll be either Mickey Lewis or it will be Rowan Milnes, I would expect, one of those two. But everybody seems to be thinking that Mickey Lewis is going to be the one that starts at scrum half.
I would have thought so. I would have thought so. He made such an impact last season.
Yeah, absolutely. No change at 8 or 9. Parcell, great season last year. George King, deserving of the number 10. Great season last year. He played really well.
Since he left Warrington, he's come on leaps and bounds, George King.
Well, he's been given his head, hasn't he? Which some players need, and he's been given it. Dean Hadley is there, as you can see. He's moved up the pecking order from very similar to what Castleford have done, moved him up from loose forward. Kane Lynette, of course, was team of the year last year. Kane Lynette, and then Matty Staunton at loose forward. Some very, very familiar names there. Jez Litton, Lewis Johnson moving up the pecking order going into this season. There's Corbin Sims, Minchella. We forget big player for Hull KR, Minchella, and last season was out. I think pretty much all season injured. So that's going to be like getting a new player. Kainos, Dagger, Lewis Mills, Mayer, Sam Wood, of course, coming into the squad as well. But this is I'll just quickly put why I don't think Hull KR this year are going to finish 6th and have gone for Cass. I'm coming back to that strength in depth again. I think when you look at that Hull KR squad, I'll just put it back up actually. When you get past probably, I'm going to go Rowan Milnes there. It becomes a little bit threadbare. Now, of course, that's not going to be a problem. And I might be, and tell you what, OKR fans, if these players that I'm not aware of in the latter parts of this list that have come through your academy, you think that they're going to be world beaters, then let me know. But from the outside looking in, I just think that when you look at them this season, if they were to pick up some key injuries in key places, I have concerns for OKR. Whereas I think Castleford, the squad that we've just seen at Castleford, they have got more in reserve should they lose 1 or 2 from that starting 13 than OKR have. And over the course of 27 games in it this season, regular season, I think that could bite them. But there's no question, Tony Smith, got nothing but admiration. If anybody can prove me wrong, it's Tony Smith. So what's your thoughts?
Yeah. And I think he will prove you wrong, to be honest. And I think I see what you're saying about the strength in depth. But when you think about last season, Hull KR got to 6th, suffering a lot of injuries throughout the season.
And beat Warrington. Beat Warrington well.
Yeah, absolutely played us off the park. Was it Mickey Lewis? Absolutely played us off the park. Jez Litton.
Yeah.
Jez Litton, great player.
Great player.
I think they're going to finish 6th again.
Yeah.
Because I think it's the Tony Smith factor. And I think if they can stay relative, they can't have the same, surely they can't have the same luck with injuries as they did last season. Mikey Lewis has got some games under his belt and has developed into a really, really good player. There are going to be, and I've no disrespect to Hull KR, but, and I don't like to say this, but bigger teams maybe taking a good look at Lewis over the next few seasons. Don't agree?
Well, yeah, maybe, but I think the signing of Coup has put a marker down. The Hull KR now are a club that believe, and everything they're doing, the marketing. Hull KR is a really interesting team to keep an eye on because they've got a great coach. They've clearly got the investment. They're looking at the branding part of it. They're doing that really, really well. Maybe not this year, but depending on how they run this year, depending on again the recruitment for the following year.
Well, look at George King in the park. George King, like I say, I didn't think he did much wrong when he was playing at Warrington, to be honest. He had a real.
The biggest
in an average Wakefield team last year. He did really well. Yes, they brought in Lachlan Coote, replacing Adam Quinlan, who on his debt was probably just.
He retired Quinlan, didn't he?
Yeah,
retired.
Probably at the right time, I would have thought.
Yeah.
But Lachlan Coote, as you say, on his day, is a good player.
Well, the other thing as well is, we talked about when we talked about Castleford, can Mamo back up season on season? Can Westerman back up season on season? Can Jordan Abdul? Abdul last season for KR was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, he's
Kane Lynette is one of the most underrated players in Super League, as far as I'm concerned.
I didn't see Team of the Year though. I thought that was. I thought that it was fortunate for me to get Team of the Year.
I think he played. He had a real solid season, Kane Lynette, last season, and has done that for a few years now.
Oh, absolutely. He was very, very good last season. I just thought that Meakin was better. But it's all about personal opinion.
We had this row last year.
We did have this row last year. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. Like I say, you've gone sixth. I've gone seventh. Let's see where the Rugby League magazine's put them. Rugby League magazine has put them sixth, so they're agreeing with you. No changes. Rugby League World magazine.
What did you say about Castleford again?
Casty put them in seventh.
Oh yes, they both agreed with me.
I think it was seventh. Did they put them seventh? Yeah, they've gone Cast seventh. So it'd be interesting to see how that one pans out as the
they'll probably finish first and second, knowing my prediction power.
Yeah, well, we'll get to predictions, mate, in a couple of weeks when it all starts again. But
get the wooden spoon out again.
No, surely not. Surely not for another season. Surely not. Right,
I put the kiss of death on everyone. Our back, mate.
Yeah. Well. Let's wait and see. Right, we come to, for me, one of the a surprise package last year. I remember probably week 3, week 4, week 5, we were showing social media posts from the Leeds Rhinos fans asking for Richard Agar's head, wondering what was going on. And then lo and behold, the Leeds Rhinos, shoot up the table and had a decent season. Very decent season, you'd have to say. But before we get into their squad, I don't know what it is. I've always liked the Rhino shirts. I have to say, something about I do like a Leeds Rhino shirt, and I like the fact that this year, as we have, no surprise that Leeds have done it. Nice little tribute to Rob Burrow on the home shirt, number 7, in the yellow part of the shirt, which is really nice. They've always, I don't know, there's something about a Leeds shirt. They've always been quite classy, I think.
Traditional. They've always been traditional in that they don't stray far from the traditional amber and blue kit.
No, they don't.
A lot of teams, Warrington have gone all white with primrose and blue with primrose, whereas Leeds, generally, their home kits are fairly standard, which isn't a bad thing.
No, I agree. No, so for the Leeds fans out there, I'm sure they've gone and bought them in the droves, and they'll be well turned out this season. They'll be disappointed as well the way the season ended last year. I think it came to a stuttering finish really against Wigan in the semis. They didn't really played too well in that game. But again, credit where credit's due. Leeds last season, I don't think anybody after 3 or 4 rounds would have put them anywhere near semi-finalists. But yet again, Leeds ended the season strong. So we look at the squads. Jack Walker again at full back. David Fasitia. That's going to take a bit of getting used to, but we'll look at him in a minute. Fasitia, he's a player. Harry Newman in there. Liam Sutcliffe taking the 4 shirt, vacated by Conrad Hurrell, who of course has gone to St. Helens. Then we've got Ash Hanley, no surprise there. Then the new halfback combo, which I think everybody's going to be interested in. Blake Austin, Aidan Caesar. Can Caesar remain? Well, can they both remain fit? And then secondly, you know what they can do. Then a very, very impressive front row. Aledzki, Lehman, of course, in Team of the Year last year with a great backup in Brad Dwyer, who enters his final year of his contract with Leeds. So that's going to be interesting. Keep an eye on that. Matt Pryor, we were both impressed with him. Then at 11, James Bentley. Coming in, of course, from Saints, Reece Martin and Zane Tetevano. With Bentley, with Tetevano, there's that little bit about discipline that creeps into my mind. Then Brad Dwyer, Alex Mellor, Richie Myler, who was a revelation last year at full back. I mean, Jack Walker's going to have to go some. I think to Alex Myler, I would expect Myler to start at full back the way he played last year. Then Cameron Smith, Tom Allway, Bodine Thompson still there, of course. The King has gone to Salford, so he's no longer there. Tom Briscoe, Morgan Gannon. A lot of people excited about Morgan Gannon in and around Leeds. Walters, Broadbent, O'Connor, Donaldson there. Johnson, Mustafa. Where did Mustafa come from? He's coming, hasn't he?
Huddersfield, was it?
Hull KR,
sorry, yeah.
Hull KR, yeah.
I was just going to say, I just saw his name.
Yeah, Hull KR. Yeah, it was Hull KR. He's coming from. Max Simpson, Tyndall, Edwards, and of course, at the bottom there, number 32, the young Jack Sinfield. Will put no pressure on that young man. He's got enough pressure as it is. But interesting to see how the young man does this year. What's your thoughts on Leeds?
I think they've got, again, last year I tipped them.
Yeah, you did.
And you laughed.
I did.
And this year...
Yeah, but you also tipped Huddersfield as well. Come on.
Well, you know.
Just saying.
Thanks for that.
Just saying, mate. You know,
just crush.
Just getting a bit of balance. Got to bring back. Got to restore order. Restoring order to the galaxy, mate. You know, you got to get it right.
Just crush me a little there, mate. Just a little. I think if this squad fires, they could do something this season. I think if Austin or Caesar aren't on the top of the game, they've got Dwyer, they've got Myler to come in. I agree with you. I think Myler will start at fullback.
Yeah.
They've got cover in most positions. You know, Bodine Thompson.
Good player, mate.
He's a good solid player.
Yeah,
good solid player. Morgan
James Donaldson as well, mate.
Yeah, got Morgan Gannon.
I think he'll get some game time, Gallon. I think he'll get a bit of game time this season.
I do.
You know,
Cruz Leeming. I think we weren't too impressed with Cruz Leeming at the start of the season last year, and he suddenly hit his stride about halfway through, and then you've got Brad Dwyer, who.
Well, I think the reason why both of those players played so well is because they both elevated each other's performances. You know, I think there was probably almost a little bit of internal rivalry there in terms of the standard of performance. But, you know, in terms of, I think, you know, it's an interesting one to consider this actually. I mean, in terms of interchanging hookers, that's probably as strong as you're getting, isn't it? I can't think of any.
Brad Dwyer changed games when he came on last season. I think he got man of the match coming off the bench.
He's a dangerous player, mate. He's a dangerous player, and you know,
Leeds. Who I think the signing you touched on. I think the signing there is James Bentley. He's gone back to his hometown team.
Yeah.
Yes, he's a bit of a hothead. Tetevano gets pulled out for stuff that sometimes other players get away with because of his reputation, maybe.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a typical story for Leeds. I think they're going to struggle early doors, as they always tend to do. But once Austin and Caesar with Myler, and Lehman getting to gear, I think they could do things this season, Leeds.
Well, as we've done with the other squads, you know, the NRL boys that have come in, we've sort of featured as we've done it, and of course David Fasitia, I think it's Fasitia actually, from the new right. What is it? Fasitua. Okay, I need to get that right. Fasitua. New Zealand Warrior. I'm going to go with New Zealand Warrior. 27, 17 stone. 6'2". He's a unit, this boy. For those of you who don't really know him that well, let's try and take a look at him. Here we go. This is him in action. Just turn that down a little bit. Some of his key moments. Let's put it this way: if he's 5 meters out, going at full tilt, he's going to take some stopping. He's a big lad.
Yeah, I mean, look at that agile as well.
Big lad.
You know, they've kind of swapped like for like with Hurrell.
Yeah, but obviously, it's slightly different positions. But yeah, I mean, there you can see it. I mean, that's impressive by any stretch. 108 appearances in the NRL, 61 tries. That's going. If you convert that into Super League, you know, I remember Joel Monaghan was almost a try a game. That's a try a game. That's a try a game. Yeah. You know, that is going. So obviously, a 2018 Dally M top try scorer with 23. So this guy knows where the line is. So with New Zealand international, 11 appearances at international level and 7 tries. But you know, if I'm a Leeds fan and I'm watching this highlight reel, I'm getting excited because this guy, is box office. He's 27. He's a unit, and And do you know what I like about that is the fact that he is 27. He's in his prime.
Yeah, he's not come over for a final payday. You know, the guy's, like you say, he's from 5 yards out. Nobody is going to stop him.
No, it's game over, isn't it? He gets anywhere near that line. As you've seen on the, as we've seen these tries going over, he knows where the line is. I mean, look at it. I mean, look at that full pace. I mean, you're not getting there, are you? No. It's as simple as that. He's got pace. He's got power. He's got speed. That's what you want. Absolutely superb. So, I think if I'm a Leeds fan, I'm looking at that and I'm going, oh yeah, I'm having a bet.
Could you imagine if Hurrell was his centre?
Well, I mean,
looking at the state of Hurrell now,
we'll get to Hurrell. Yeah, we'll get to Hurrell in a couple of weeks. But yeah, I mean, well, in fact, be next week, won't it? And he's looking lean. He's looking very lean indeed. Right. So that said, where do we see the Leeds Rhinos finishing this year?
Right. I think they will have their usual slow start, but I think they're going to finish second.
Okay.
I think they're going to finish second.
That's a shout. That's a shout. When you consider how strong. I mean, of course, last week, you put Catalan at third. Some people have been thinking, well, okay, who's he going to put at second? I don't think many would have been expecting that name, if I'm being honest, at this stage of the season.
Yeah,
that is a shout. That is a shout. Rugby League World put them third.
Oh well, not far away.
I'm putting them fourth.
Okay.
So I'm putting them fourth. I think they'll finish a place higher than they finished last season. I think they'll finish fourth, and like you say, a lot's gonna be dictating how well they settle early on. But they've got a great squad. It's a young squad. It's a vibrant squad. And Leeds,
they can build on last year. I know. I've not been Richard Agar's biggest fan. A lot of Leeds fans weren't Richard Agar's biggest fan.
No,
but they got to Wembley and something clicked when they got to Wembley the season before last. The notorious slow starters, Leeds. I think they will surprise even their own fans this season. I think they'll finish second. It's a big shout.
Big shout, that. It's a big shout, that.
You've got them at third.
Well, I have. Fourth.
I thought you said
I've got.
Oh no,
Rugby League World got them at third. But I think that's a big shout. I don't know what Paul Whiteman thinks, who's joined us, or Lee Davis, where they think these will finish. But yeah, absolutely. One thing's for certain, I think unlike seasons gone by, I think there'll be a lot of optimism in and around Headingley going into the season.
They've made some interesting signings.
No, I agree.
Signings that if they work,
and
will work well.
Yeah, and the year in terms of combos, and there's a lot of people had a good season last year, or a developing season last year at Leeds.
Yeah, and so they've got cover in, I think, every position. Perhaps maybe loose forward, but got cover in almost every position.
It's probably the third strongest pack in the league, isn't it? I would say you could toss a coin between Saints and Catalan in terms of first and second, and then I would say Leeds is third.
It all depends on whether Austin and Caesar click.
Yeah.
It all depends on that. Has Austin added that extra dimension to his game? He played really, really well his first season at Warrington. He got found out a little bit and didn't know how to change it up.
Yeah.
Can he add something? Will Caesar help him to add something? Caesar's going to be the one that leads the team around the pitch.
Yeah.
If Austin's given his head, if Blake Austin, who I think is a great player on his day, if Austin's allowed to do the off-the-cuff stuff that I think he wasn't perhaps allowed to do under Steve Price at Warrington, if he's allowed to play off the cuff and not be the organizer, I think that could be quite a serious halfback combination to deal with.
Well, we will find out when Warrington take on Leeds at Headingley on the 12th, isn't it? The 12th.
Yes,
it's the 12th. The 12th of Feb. So, that'll
first
be
game
good
to be shown on Channel 4.
Looking forward to that. Good, please God, let them do a great job of it. It'd be great.
Just let it be a great game.
Oh, brilliant! Well, the first week of games, phenomenal. You look at all those televised games. Catalan Saints, Hull KR taking on Wigan, Warrington taking on Leeds, three belters, and then of course Toulouse take on Huddersfield late in the evening on the Saturday.
That could throw a mark down that, Toulouse, Huddersfield. That I think that's the most interesting game of the weekend. I think Toulouse, Huddersfield. Toulouse have just lost a captain as well.
Yeah,
but I think that's maybe not the most exciting game. Sorry, Huddersfield and Toulouse fans, but the most interesting game. A lot rides on that game, I think.
Well, especially for Huddersfield, I agree. I think it's Huddersfield. Yeah, but I think it's one of those that I think Toulouse over the stretch of the season, I think everybody would probably expect Toulouse to probably finish bottom, I would say. So whether they win or whether they don't in that game, but I think if Huddersfield was to go there and lose, I think there'll be a lot of Huddersfield Giants fans. I mean, there's a lot of talk, reading various press around Rugby League at the moment that the likes of Ian Watson, Brett Hodgson, they've had the first season. They're going to be expecting, those fans are going to be expecting big improvements this season. And Huddersfield was to go to Toulouse game one and lose, Watson would straight away be subjected, I think, to a lot of pressure very early on. Yeah,
I agree, which is why I say it's the most interesting game of the weekend.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Well, the wife has just tuned in. I am here, honestly. I'm not anywhere else. But right, so we've got a bit of time.
I haven't said that. The wife's just phoned me. Where do they think we are?
I don't know. We're certainly not up to any no good hour.
Sally, where do you think I am?
Happy days. All right, we've got a bit of time, so what we'll do, in the interest of time, because we'll review one more team.
Yes, I think we should.
We've got a bit of time, so we'll review one more, and that team will be the Salford Red Devils. So let's, as we do, take a look at their strips going into the new season. Let's take a look at what they're going to be wearing. Quite a nice home kit, that.
Like it. Both kits. I like both kits, to be honest.
Yeah.
Very nice.
It's quite a nice effort on the part of on the part of Salford there. No major dramas there. Right, let's get straight into it then. Let's go and take a look at the team, and here we go. So, very interesting at fullback. Morgan Escaray was, of course, at 1 last season. He's now at 25 with Ryan Braley. Now, a lot of people talking about Ryan Braley. For me, he's never really achieved the level of performance that his reputation has given him. And this and when you've got a player like Escaray, who I think on his day is a really good fullback, interesting that Braley's been given the number 1.
Braley, I remember the game Lee versus Warrington in the Cup, and I think it was Ashton Sims singled him out at the end for praise.
Right.
And I thought, I genuinely believe that he might be the successor to Lee Brace. He was that type of player. I genuinely thought that. And then I think Toronto might have been a kind of a backward step for him. No disrespect to Toronto, God rest his soul. But you're right. He had a lot of potential, and maybe I think Salford is his hometown club.
Yeah.
Maybe this move to Salford might finally see him live up to that expectation, and I hope so, because he looked a great prospect, and I hope he does kind of fulfill his potential.
Well, speaking of players who fulfilling potential, number 5 Joe Burgess. Don't know what's happened there, but I was very disappointed in Joe Burgess last year.
Yes. There's nothing more I can say now after that.
No.
Yeah. When I saw that Salford had signed Joe Burgess, I thought, wow, what a great sign. And he just, I don't know. He just maybe I don't know. Maybe it was coaching. Maybe it was players around him. I don't know.
Maybe.
It just didn't happen last season.
No, it didn't. Obviously, Callum Watkins stays in the centres with Lafay. Watkins, I don't know, how old is he now? 33, 34? Maybe. But then, of course, we get to the halfback combos, and surprising. But Mark Sneed, I think we expected change at Hull FC. But Sneed going back to Salt, again, Salford's his own hometown club as well, isn't it? I think.
Well, that's certainly where he started.
Yeah, so Sneed going home, and of course for me, there'll be a lot. We'll get to Wigan in a couple of weeks in terms of Cade Cust, but Brodie Croft for me, this could be an interesting signing.
Yeah, I think he could be a little bit of a surprise package, Brodie Croft.
Mate, 24 years of age. He was described in Australian press when he first came onto the scene as a Cooper Cronk clone. That's what he was classed as. Has he lived up to that? Possibly not. But there's
the big shoes to fill, to be honest.
Well, absolutely huge.
That's huge pressure on the lad's shoulders.
That young, absolutely. But this lad for me is a player. He is a player. Let's take a look at him. He is a player. Melbourne Storm and Brisbane Broncos, 65 NRL appearances. World Club Challenge winner in 2018, and of course, Grand Final runner-up in the same year. Let's take a look at him in action, see what he's all about. I've not got much on him, but we've got a few bits on him. I think I'm right in thinking I think this was a game that he absolutely burst on the scene with. Yeah, I think he got man of the match in this game. I mean, that's a lovely pass. That's a lovely pass. You've got to give him. So so clearly, just like it's one clip, but good hands.
Yeah,
good hands. I mean that's a lovely pass. That.
Yeah,
got to give him his due. Very, very nice indeed. I think he scored a try in this one as well. Did he score a try in this one? I'm not sure.
This is against Leeds, isn't it?
Yeah, in the World Club Chat. Yeah,
when it was in Australia
in 2018. Yeah, he did well. I think he scored a try. I think this is the try he scored as well. Here we go. Yeah, lovely. Yeah, nice. I'd say he looks the part. It's early days. It's early but I say when you compare and contrast him with Cade Cust, there's not much in it, Greg. There really isn't much in it.
And you know who he reminds me of a little bit? Bobby Goulding.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
that sort of player. That's who he reminds. From what I've seen of him, he reminds me of a young Bobby Goulding.
Yeah,
which is no bad thing.
No, Bobby Goulding for a good few seasons. He was a hell of a player. Then we come into the front row. Sitter, of course, from White. I mean, this is going to be interesting. Has he got the engine? Has he got the engine to start 8? Because that big impact player off the bench, never really nailed down a starting place, did he?
Yeah, and I don't think in defence of him, because he's a big lad. Maybe he wasn't given the chance. I don't know. A lot. He divided Warrington fans' opinions. Some fans absolutely loved him. Some fans thought he was a waste of time. He was a very polarising type of player.
Yeah,
we're going to find out.
Yeah,
we're going to find out. I mean, the one thing I remember about Aquala was he absolutely creamed a player and then stopped to ask him, was he all right, instead of running on.
Well, that's always what he did, wasn't he?
He smashed this player and the pitch opened up, and he stopped and asked him, was he all right? I'm like, just keep running.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. I remember that myself.
He's a lovely, lovely fella. But he's got to prove himself now. He has to prove himself.
Yes.
And secretly, I hope he does prove himself.
I'm sure. Well, we're going to find out, aren't we?
I think he might have been one of those players that didn't quite get given their chance under Steve Price, and this is his time now to prove.
Well, one thing's for certain: if Harvey Levett is anything to go by last season, that could well be the chance. Of course, Levett there at 17, I'd be amazed if he weren't a starter. I think that's. I'm really surprised to see Harvey Levett at 17. I think his form last season, he deserved the.
I think
for me a 12, an 11 or a 12.
That.
Maybe, but I think that's a bit harsh personally putting him there. Greg Burke, of course, promoted into 10. Shane Wright, another guy that's come over from the NRL. No real highlight reels for him, which is a bit worrying. But only 25 from North Queensland Cowboys. He comes in at 11. Yeah, James Greenwood.
This has been a theme this season of Aussies or overseas players in their mid-20s rather than early 30s coming over. And I think that's a good thing.
Well, a lot of them. There's a lot of them though that've had a bit of controversy. So
yeah, but
call me cynical, but a lot of these lads
spice the game up a little bit.
Yeah,
but I think that's a good thing because they have to. Look, they've got to prove themselves.
Yeah, we're getting players in the prime, and let's be under no illusion. The vast majority of these imports this year will be here for 2 years max, and they'll be back to the NRL. I've got no doubt about that. But at least we're getting players that are in the mid-20s and not in the mid-30s, which is
exactly.
Great. Exactly. James Greenwood, of course, in at 12, promoted from 21. So I was surprised Levett didn't get that. Elijah Taylor started the season really well last season, faded a little bit as the season went on, but great player. Addy's still there. Of course, the King has come in from Leeds. Ryan Lennon, Harvey Levett, as we've said. Chris Atkin deputised really well last year at hooker at times. Ormond Royd, Wells, Josh Johnson, Reece Williams, Dan Sargentson, Costello, Escray. I can't believe Escray is that far down. I have to be honest. I mean, I'm looking at that. Is it a better squad than? I mean, I think it'd be a miss of us to not just very, very quickly give Paulie a little bit of a fond farewell to the York City Knights. One of the finest collisions ever last year. Remember that Saints game when he absolutely poleaxed? Who was it? He poleaxed.
The big
One
guy.
Of the Saints lads. The big lad that had come over.
What was his name?
That's annoying. What's his name? His name?
It's one of the first games of the season, wasn't it?
Parza. Absolutely creamed him. It was a beauty. It was a thing of absolute beauty.
And the good thing was he didn't stop and check, was he all right? He just got up and carried on.
Mate, it was like Mate, it was like something out of Beauty and the Beast. Be our guest. Come here and sit yourself down, sir. Be our guest, sir. Be our guest.
Like, let me pull that chair out for you, sir.
Yes, absolutely. Would you like to see the wine menu? It was an
No,
absolute.
I'm still on my way back down. Absolute beauty. Absolute beauty. It was a thing.
It was an absolute thing of beauty. Right. Where do you see Salford?
Right. I'm gonna surprise you here. I'm gonna say 9th.
Oh, that's a big shout. That's a big shout. You're going 9th.
9th.
I know. I'm got a good idea who your 12th is going to be. Don't tell me. I've got. Now I'm thinking, who have you got 11th? And who you going to? Well, that is really interesting. You've got Huddersfield. It's probably Wakefield, isn't it? But yeah, 9th.
Yeah.
Deary me. That's a big shout. So I think Salford fans would take that.
Well, I think
they take it.
I've been having a look at the squads.
Yeah.
And I just get a sneaky that Salford aren't going to be hoping that Toulouse do worse than they do. I think Salford are going to hold their own.
I agree. I think last year we said quite a few times that certainly Salford they were lucky that Lee was in the form that they're in. I agree. I don't see that this time around. But I do actually. But I've got them at 10th, so which would be a place improvement on last year versus.
Where did Rugby League World have them?
What's that?
Where's Rugby League World got them?
11th.
11th.
They've gone at 11th again. But I've gone 7th. I mean, you've given them there you have really given them a proper leg up there. There's no doubt. And like I say, I think Salford fans.
Yeah, I've been looking. I've looked at the squads. I've looked at all the squads, and I've looked at half-backs, the backs. Obviously, because you've got because they're the squad.
Yeah.
But Salford have got some good players.
Keeping them
some
fit.
really, really good players.
If they stay fit, your 9th doesn't sound too bad.
This young kid in the halves.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm looking forward to seeing Croft. I think Croft, he could be a player, this lad. So let's see what he's all about.
He's an unknown quantity, which I think will be the surprise.
Is he another Jackson Hastings, where he comes over, plays for Salford, plays a blinder, ends up in a Saints, a Wigan.
They've got Mark Sneed, a steadying influence, a solid player. Not the most creative halfback you'll ever see.
No.
But leads the team around the pitch.
He's deadly. He's deadly with the boot, isn't he? Deadly.
Yeah.
Deadly with the boot.
And plus out the hand.
Yeah.
He kicks it well out of hand. You put an unknown quantity next to Mark Sneed, and I think that could do Salford well this season. I can't see them breaking the 6th, not this season. Let's see how they do this season. But I certainly think they're good for a 9th place finish.
Well, that's high praise indeed. Right.
And semi-final of the Challenge Cup.
Fair enough.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
all I know, there's a lot of PC screens that just froze. What? No. I think you're being incredibly optimistic there. I don't see that. But anyway, we will find out as the season goes. Coming into this weekend, obviously the championship starts this weekend. Also some pre-season games. Catalan Dragons taking on Toulouse, so that'll be interesting to see.
That could be interesting, yeah.
That could be interesting. Warrington Wigan for the Stephen Ratchford testimonial. Having looked, really good squads have been picked for that, so that could be a really good game. Actually, it'll certainly freshen them up, ready for the season. Other games, pre-season games. Hull KR taking on Huddersfield. Interesting.
Yeah.
And Leeds, of course, take on Hull FC in the Tom Briscoe testimonial. So a couple of really good games there. between those teams. And of course, everybody looking at the championship this year. Featherstone already the school duggery has started. Brian McDermott this week putting Lee as he announced his 3 signings, puts Lee as favourite because they'll be flashing the cash, which I found quite funny. But Lee, they start their quest for a return to Super League at home to Whitehaven, and Featherstone Rovers are live on Premier Sports next Monday night as they take on the York City Knights.
That is going to be an early indicator.
I think,
how that league's going to go. I think
York are a good side.
Yeah,
York are a good side, and it will be interesting to see.
I don't think Leeds will have it all their own way. I quite fancy Featherstone to finally do it this season, and I hope they do. They're a good traditional rugby league team.
Good, yeah. I mean, like I say, the interesting thing for me is the McDermott factor there. That's a hell of a coup. That getting Brian McDermott in at Featherstone Rovers, that's a hell of a coup.
Well, look what he's done. Leeds, Toronto.
Yeah,
I think
I'd say
the guy's a winner.
Yeah, I found the Rob Burrow book fascinating in terms of that relationship between him and McDermott. I found that absolutely fascinating.
It wasn't all sweetness and light, was it?
No, but again though, there was that professional respect, wasn't there? And I think that shone through. It was
what a great book! What a great book!
It's a brilliant. I mean, if there's a rugby league, all I would say is that if there's any rugby league fan out there who hasn't got that on the bookshelf, something's wrong, because that is a great read. What I loved about that book as well is I loved how it was written. That halfway through a chapter, a Barry Mack could show up, or and it was just really nicely written, where they'd have their bit, and then Rob would talk a bit over it, and I thought it was really well penned. It was a great proper rugby league book. It was a great book
and easy read. You can get it done in a couple
easily. Yeah, nights. Absolutely. No, absolutely.
Really, it's hard. It's hard going at times, I must admit.
It's
obvious reasons, but
it's going to be.
If you've not read it, please read it. It's a great book.
Phenomenal book, and hence our admiration for the little man, to Rob. Good evening, sir. But yes, legend of the game, absolute legend of the game. Fantastic. So that brings this one to a close. We will be back next week. We will probably actually get through at least 3 teams next week. Those being definitely St Helens we'll be discussing. We might skip Toulouse depending on what happens this week in terms of if it's still up in the air or not. But if not, we'll have a quick look at Toulouse. Wakefield and Warrington will come with Wigan on the final show. We may even get to them next week. Who knows? Lots to discuss between now and kick-off on the opening night of the season at St Helens, and we'll be looking forward to that. But Greg, as always, another hour and a bit has come and it has gone.
Absolutely flown by, sir.
It has flown by. It's an absolute pleasure as always. So join us again next week. Probably we will be back next Tuesday. That's probably going to be the night.
Tuesday is good for me.
We're back. We had to move it this week, but we're back. Tuesday nights is probably going to be predominantly when we do it this season. But yes, try and get a bit of rugby league into your system this week. Lots of games going on in and around Yorkshire, and of course a couple of these friendlies going on as well. Well worth getting to. The season is just weeks away. We will see everybody next week. Go well, everyone.
See you.